I like to light a candle before I start a project. It helps me to ground and get really present with my task at hand. Hi there, my name's Charisma. You're watching the Gardens and Graveyards channel, and today we're starting our very first seeds of the season of 2026. And I've got all of my trays. Oops. I've got all my trays filled up with seed starting soil. And I just spilled a bunch out. Okay. Making a giant mess, and that's what seed starting season is all about. Okay. I mean, I attempt to make less of a mess, but it's always inevitable. Anyway, all right, so I've got my seed starting trays all set up and ready to go. I wanted to point out a couple of things. I like to use this Whitney Farm seed starting mix, and this is available at my Ace Hardware and I think at my Fred Meyer's as well. So it's easy for me to grab and find locally. But I have found that I really like the way it works for my seedlings. So this is the brand that I use. Another thing that you might see are these little peat pod or peat pellets. And you would just set these down inside of your seed tray, fill it with water, and allow them to expand. And they're the compressed peat. And so they expand and create a very fluffy medium for your seeds to start. I don't typically like to use peat because it's not a sustainable product to support. Our peat moss ponds, I guess they're growing in, are quickly getting depleted. So I prefer to use compressed coconut coir if I don't have a seed starting mix available. I like keeping some of these on hand, bricks of it's called Expanding Soil Alternative. It's just coconut coir, which is a lot more sustainable because the resource replenishes quickly, and the people that are harvesting coconut coir are doing so sustainably. So I prefer to support the coconut coir movement over the peat moss movement, but you do you. I just wanted to show you a couple of options. I like to keep these bricks on hand in case I'm out of seed starting mix and there's some like off season seed that I really want to get started. It's nice to have these on hand, and I could just quickly make up a batch of coconut coir seed starting mix. So that's what this is. These trays are from Fairy Morse, which is a company that has been around for 150 years, and they are most well known for their seeds that they sell, but they have a whole line of product. Fairy Morse and Burpee and Jiffy are all owned by the same kind of family of corporations. So I've been using these for a little while. They're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 36 cells in each square, and 2 squares fit in a 72 cell tray. And just go over them really quick because those are just kind of like the mechanics of what we'll be using. So what happens is we have, oh no, these are Burpees. I think I said Fairy Morse, but these are Burpee brand. So they have these little stands that sit inside of the tray, and underneath those there are these. This one's well loved. This is a wicking mat. So we put the wicking mat down on the bottom of the tray, and I'll say upside down like this. The edges go up like this, and then these guys go down, and then the soil tray sits on top, and you water, when you water them, you can water from the bottom or the top, but what happens is all the water drains down into the tray, and then the wicking pad absorbs the water, and then as the roots are growing, it pulls the water back up into the tray so that it keeps our seedlings nice and moist. But these little stands keep the tray from just sitting in water, and at the bottom of the feet there's holes, so that's where the water gets drawn up from. So that's the mechanics. And then of course there is a humidity dome that goes on top of the whole thing when we're done. Let's get into what we are seeding today. As a matter of fact, let me grab some plant tags. I've also got plant tags and a Sharpie so that we can make labels for everything. And today we have our January box. We recently went over all of our the way I organize my seeds. So if you missed that video, I'll make sure that it's linked down below. It'll probably be a seed starting playlist. You can check out all the different ways that I've sown seeds over the years and organized my seeds. And this year I've got all my January seeds in this little box, and then they are separated out by early and mid-January. So we're going to leave the mids in there. I need to double check this Moon Garden collection from Botanical Interest that I bought from Epic Gardening. I need to make sure that there isn't any early, super early ones that I want to get done. I think Dusty Miller is one. Oh, Dusty Miller and Moonflower need to get done today. The rest of them are mid or late January, so we'll set that to the side. So what I'd like to do is I have a bunch of seeds that need to get started that need bottom heat. So I'm going to put the bottom heat flowers and vegetables in one tray, and then the ones that don't need bottom heat in a different tray. So we want to make sure that we separate those out. So our moonflower, and this is for me in my climate. So I live on the Oregon coast in a zone 9A, and we are very rainy and cool, temperate weather. So my soil doesn't hit 60 degrees until August. And if I waited for my soil to hit 60 degrees to plant things out, I basically would lose the entire season. So it's really important for me to take measures that allow me to get my seeds and my plants up and going earlier in the season than later. I also let them grow up a little bit bigger, so that they're relying more on the sun than they are on the warmth of the soil, and because they can photosynthesize and feed themselves. So I'm gonna put bottom heat on my moonflower because this is a heat loving plant, and I want to make sure that I get some plants. Okay, unwind these. I do have them separated out by vegetable and flower, so we'll go through the flowers really quick. We've got the Q Blue Salpiglossus and the Crispidia Sunball, Helichrysum straw flowers, a black hollyhock, and some hollyhocks from my mother-in-law. Those are all going to get bottom heat. And then I've got some black and white snapdragons and a colorful snapdragon mix, as well as the historic florist mix pansies that will get started, not with bottom heat. And the Dusty Miller will not have bottom heat. So those are our flowers. The vegetables that we're going to start today is an early jalapeno, a Takara F1 shishito, a patio baby eggplant, and a orange hat tomato. This guy is so cute. I grew a whole bunch of them last year. They get 6 inches tall by 6 inches wide, and they get these little tiny orange tomatoes that are absolutely delicious. It's like candy growing in your garden. So I definitely want some of those. Those all need bottom heat. And then I'm going to start some cabbage today, and then we'll move this packet back into the January box because we want to be able to succession sow and have cabbage throughout the season. So we'll get those started today. Let's go ahead and get our cool season non-bottom heat plants done first. So with the cabbage, I'm going to be growing a small amount of all of these things because I don't have a ton of room. So everything's going to be either in containers or in small areas. So you won't see me sowing an entire tray of any one thing typically. What I do need to do is I make these plant tags out of vinyl blinds that I pick up at thrift stores. But these are too tall for my seed starting because if I want to put a humidity dome on it, it won't sit down. So I want to make sure that they're just a couple inches above my seed starter mix or my seed starter trays. So I just basically cut them in half and have, a stack of them ready to go. And I just didn't get them done before we started the video. So let's do that. These ones were taped in little bundles. I got tape on them. Okay. Put that away. So let me get these prepped really quick and then we can move on. Wow, it's like the 50 pickup card. Oh my goodness. Okay. Let's see if I have enough without grabbing those. I have lots of seeds to start over the season, so I know that I'll be using all of these eventually. And it looks like this year I'll be making more of these. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see how I make these plant tags out of blinds, and I can share that with you. All right, I'm going to go ahead and make all of my plant labels now so that they're just like done and I don't have to think about it. So let's do this. Obviously, I always put a date at the top so I can clearly keep track of when I sowed them. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put these all in here so I don't forget what I wanted to do. So we're going to do cabbage, Dusty Miller, let's see, Snapdragon, oh, where's the other Snapdragon? Snapdragon and pansies. Okay. So let's set these down so you can see what's happening. Get this out of the way. All right. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put these cell packs in their trays so that the seeds don't get disturbed too much when I move them around. And I'm gonna go ahead and sew these. I don't know why I put them in this way. I'm gonna go this way, and we're gonna go every other one. Okay, but I'm gonna flip it this way so you can see what I'm doing, and I know what we're sewing. So the first one that I'm gonna do is cabbage. And I need glasses now, so let's just see what this says. I'm going to sew this at 1/4 inch. And I don't need this many, so I will probably only do 1 row today. And then I'll leave this one blank so that in a week from now I can sew another row. Oh, that's really full. These are pelleted. Are these pelleted? I don't think so. All right, so they're very tiny. And I just put 1 or 2 in each seed. Or just put 1 or 2 in each cell. That's it. Good grief. I'm just gonna kind of press them into the soil here. 1/4 inch is not very much. And then I'll just take a little bit of soil and put it right over the top. Knowing that I'm also going to put vermiculite over this entire tray, so that will also give it a tiny bit of depth. All right, so the next one I want to do is the Dusty Miller, and this is Dusty Miller Silver Dust. It is from Botanical Interest. I mentioned that my cabbage is territorial seed. This just says press into surface. So we're not even going 1/4 inch on these ones. We're just gonna press it into the surface. I'm only gonna sew this once, so I am gonna do all 12 cells. I don't know where this one's gonna go. I usually have Dusty Miller in my moon garden, but this year my moon garden is only gonna be white and like a really clean, true green. Not chartreuse, not dark, just like a grass green. But I discovered this silver dust last year, and I wanted to grow some of my own and see if it's the same as the ones that I found as plants. Because I really enjoyed that they were like they still had that lace leaf look, but they weren't as dissected as your traditional Dusty Miller. And I wanted to, and then the new look isn't dissected at all. I do like that kind of lacy look. But I really loved having kind of an in-between option. Should that one go on or not? Okay. This is not the most foolproof way to do this. I need to get myself like a little dibbler. Okay. The next one that I want to do is the black and white snaps, which I did not have very good luck germinating these last year. So I'm just going to sow all the snaps that I have in this packet and see what happens. These are from Park Seed. Let's just do more snaps. Okay. In this case, I'm just gonna carefully all right. And then the next snapdragons that I'm going to do, starting in this tray, is a mix from American Seed. I don't know how many I have. Not very many. Probably just, oh, did I just do one? I did. So I'm going to move this over and just do one here because honestly, I just don't have very many of these snapdragons. I sowed, I think, like 500 snapdragons last year, and they're perennials for me. So our medicine garden is packed out with snapdragons. These will just fill in like little spaces if they come up and germinate. I can just pop them into little spaces that I'm noticing are like gaps. And just making sure, I'm pretty sure you just, yeah, it's an eighth of an inch for snapdragon. So I'm just gonna press them in and then we'll top everything off with vermiculite. Okay. Those are not snapdragons that I want to reorder, so I'm just throwing away the packet. The next thing we have are the pansies, and I love a pansy, and I'm super lucky because in my climate, pansies grow all year long. I don't have any blooming right this minute because I pulled a bunch of them last year, but yeah, they'll bloom all year long for me. So I love growing pansies. And this one is a florist mix, which means they're going to have long stems. And it's a historic florist mix. So my intention is to plant them in my Victorian morning garden as it starts to get developed. These need to go surface sown. And because this packet is a little bit old, I'm going to start these inside. But normally I plant my pansies just in a tray and stick them out in my greenhouse without any special accommodations. I don't think there's going to be enough to fill this whole tray, but we'll see how far they stretch. Maybe there will be. Oh, that was a lot. it's looking good. Awesome. I have just a few more, so I'm just gonna sprinkle them around. Okay. I'm very lightly tapping them in just so they don't blow away when I put the vermiculite on them. Okay, awesome. Oh, that makes me super happy. And the historic mix, I will save the packet to see if I absolutely love this mix. I'll order it again. These are from Baker Creek. But if I don't, then they'll just get the packet will just get tossed at the end of the season. And then of course I will put away the Dusty Miller and move the Ruby Ball to the next sewing. So let's put vermiculite on this guy. I'm going to turn it like this and see what's going on. Try to keep my vermiculite in this container super fine, and we just want to cover everything with the vermiculite. And this has been an absolute game changer for me because my climate is so moist and there's so much humidity in my home, especially in my greenhouse, that I've experienced dampening off so quickly, and I was losing seedlings left and right, and I just could not figure out how to grow seedlings. And when I learned this trick from Gardenmancer, game changer, and I've been doing it for 5 years with no problems, no dampening off whatsoever. So if you've ever experienced a seedling coming up and then it looks like somebody went and pinched the seedling and like with their fingernails, and it just has like this crease and it fails, that's what dampening off looks like. And I have absolutely no problems with it. And I don't get fungal gnats until way later in the season. I don't know what it is, but if I get them, it's not till later in the season. And even with bottom watering. So win. And by the way, if you get fungal gnats, for me, I mean, I don't grow in a huge production, so I don't know if it would work like in a massive greenhouse or anything like that, but for me, if I just put a little cup of apple cider vinegar with a couple drops of dish soap in it, the gnats flock to it and drown and die. And I just do that a few times throughout the season, and if they don't even get a chance to produce larvae because they're just so attracted to that so quickly. So if I just have a little shallow bowl out there of the apple cider vinegar with the dish soap in it, I get rid of my gnats super fast. So if you have a problem with those, try that trick. It's easy and it works. All right, so I'm going to put humidity dome on this and we'll do the next. And then I will just be putting this on my seed starting station. I've shared my seed starting station with you many times on this channel, so you can go back and check out what that looks like, but we're just going to set this to the side. And we'll do the same thing. I'm just going to pop all of my tags in here. I do peppers, eggplant, tomato, hollyhocks, let's see, Crispita, Moonflower, Strawflower. Let's see, 6. No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. All right. So what I'm doing here is this row will be the early jalapenos with six, and then we'll continue with 9. So we'll do 9 plants, and then I'll start with the shishitos. We'll do 3 and then 6, so we'll have 9 jalapenos. And then I'll start with the Q Blue, just 6 plants, eggplant, just 6 plants, tomato, 6 plants, hollyhock. We'll do 2 rows of, I'm going to call it Mary's Mix, my mother-in-law's hollyhocks, and then 1 row of the black hollyhock because I have black hollyhocks already, so I don't need that many. 1 row of the Cresspedia, 1 row of the Moonflower, and 1 row of the Strawflower. The jalapenos and the tomato, well, let's see, the jalapenos, I really only want 3 to 4 plants each. I just don't know how well they're going to germinate, so I'm going to do 9 of them each, and then if I have good quality plants that I can share with friends, I will just pass along any that form up really good. So we're going to do there. Let's start with the jalapenos. We've got the early jalapeno from Territorial Seed. These want to go a 1/4 inch deep. All right. And then we'll do shishitos. I love shishito peppers. They're so phenomenal. Mild flavor, just beautiful little pepper. They also want to be a 1/4 inch. So we start at this tag. They're getting more popular, so you can typically pick them up at a store in season. But I was introduced to them at a farmer's market. They were just like the best. So, all right. Okay. So all my peppers came from Territorial. I'm just going to put a little soil right over the top of them, knowing that they only want to be a 1/4 inch deep. Okay. I'm going to switch these just so that the flowers aren't mixed. Let's see, hollyhock, Cresspedia, Moonflower. You know what I'm going to do? Oops. Okay. All right, so the next one I'm going to do is the tomato, the orange hat I mentioned before. It's like candy in the garden. It's so good. I saved some seed. So we'll use those next year and use up the ones from last year's seed packet this year. I don't need too many of them though, so I'm just going to do 1 row. Store properly. Your tomato and pepper seeds will last a good long time. This one wants to be an 1/8 of an inch, so I'm just going to press it into the soil and we'll put vermiculite on top. And this one is going to be our eggplant. This is Patio Baby, and it's supposed to fruit in 45 days, which is really good for me because we just don't get very hot. I will be growing all of these nightshades, the pepper, the tomato, and the eggplant, all in my greenhouse. And I'm not growing any large tomatoes by seed because I just don't need that many. I'll probably grow 4 tomato plants in my greenhouse, and I pick those up at the Master Gardener plant sale in the spring. I typically put 2 or 3 seeds in each cell just in case anything happens and they don't come up. I just want to make sure, and then I can thin them later. Eggplant grows very much like a tomato or a pepper, so I'll just put a little 1/4 inch of soil right over these cells. And then the next one I'm going to do in this tray is the straw flower, only because I will be growing my straw flower among my vegetables this year, so I just thought that might be appropriate. We'll also be growing them in another area, so I'll probably do a second seeding of these flowers later in the season. This packet is a couple years old, so I'm going to heavily put seeds in that row. And these need light to germinate, so I will be very careful and not put very much vermiculite on top of those. Okay. Then we're going to do hollyhocks. And then I will also try sowing them outdoors, but I just have a better experience with growing them up in my greenhouse. All right, and same with the black. Divots. Cover them up. Next one is the Crispidia. I have a love-hate with the Crispidia. I think they're really messy looking flowers. I like the little ball in floral arrangements, but the way they grow is all wonky. So I'm just going to grow the rest of these out, and I'm going to put them in the wildflower garden. And if they self-seed, great. They can live out there. If they don't, I don't care. So I'm just going to actually put all the rest of my seeds in here, and if we have really good germination, we can separate them out and maybe save a few for other places. But I'm going to get rid of the seed packet because I don't purposely want to grow them again. Cover lightly with vermiculite. So, okay, we'll just press them into the soil so they don't blow away. The next one is the moonflower. I've never grown a moonflower before. They look like a morning glory, so I'm really hoping they really are a lot bigger than the morning glory and clearly differentiate themselves. They want to be a ½ inch deep. This one is, I am kind of jumping the gun on a couple of these where they say 4 to 6 weeks, but like I said, because we're so cold, I like to plant my seeds just maybe a week or two earlier than the recommended dates so that they have even more time to grow on. So ½ inch, it's a good amount. Ooh. Oh, they're big, giant seeds, kind of like a nasturtium. I don't intend to grow these anywhere but in my moon garden, so I definitely don't need 6. So I'm just gonna put 1 seed in each cell. The packet says they get up to 20 feet tall, possibly. That's I don't even think I'll use all 6 of them, but you know, see what happens. All right, then these are the Q Blues, which everybody raves about. I've never grown them. They get 30 inches tall. And this says just press into surface. It says that they bloom all season long. We'll see. And my goal this year is to grow as a whole bunch of different kinds of flowers and that it's not coming apart. Really well glued. All right. My goal this year is to grow a whole bunch of blue flowers and kind of do a little comparison with you all to see how many flowers are really blue or are they just purple. Like I know a lot of gardeners will call it horticultural blue because the flowers that are supposedly blue are usually purple, but there are a few true blue flowers. So I'd like to just have like an experiment and see which ones really are blue. These are really tiny. Okay. Oh, it's amazing that they get 30 inches tall and they're just the most itty bitty little seeds. Which is why I'm only growing 1 row because each cell has multiple seeds. So if there's more than one that comes up, we'll just, like I said, separate them out and grow them on. My intention is to grow one of these in each one of my really big containers outside so that I have 4 of them. Maybe I can grow 2 in each container. If I end up with 8, we'll see. All right, so then we're gonna do vermiculite. I want to remember this one is just, it needs light to germinate, so I just barely cover that one and barely cover this one. The rest of it can be heavily sown or heavily, you know, we can put a bunch of vermiculite on these. Okay. And on these. Okay. I just realized that I forgot to water in my last group of seeds. So I'm just going to get these watered in, and then we'll grab the other tray and water those in before we put them underneath our lights. So this tray will go on electric heat pads. I feel like I'm dripping on these. I'm going to do that. We'll put a humidity dome on it, and they've got bottom watering, and they have overhead lights and electric heat mats. They're going to be very happy. I've been using this watering option for my seeds for so long. It's just a water bottle, and it's this cool little spout thing that just fits right over the top. Just screws on like a bottle cap, and it works like a charm. Cool. Okay, let's water these before we put them under the lights. This just makes sure that all the seeds have moisture all the way around them. And then, of course, we'll check them daily and make sure that they're not drying out, because that's one of the biggest culprits of seeds not germinating, is they just dry out and they don't get to germinate. So sure that doesn't happen, and we'll keep you updated on how these go. I'm sure you'll see me doing transplanting with them as needed. All right, and then to keep things super simple and easy, just go ahead and grab my seed starter container here and put all of these back where they belong, or move them into a different month. This is we're gonna move these. We're moving these. These we did. These we did. Saving. Okay, these are the seeds that we have left to do in mid-January. And because I want to do a second sowing of the cabbage, the hollyhock, and the helichrysum, I'm going to put those in there for a second sowing. And I may or may not want to reorder these, so I just have this packet, or this Ziploc bag of seeds that I will reorder, possibly. And I can just revisit it at the end of the season when I start to reorder, or when I start to put in my seed orders for next year. Okay. And then this is my monthly. So we've got some moon garden flowers that we're still going to be using over the next couple of weeks. And then I could put my January container in here with my monthly containers, and we're done. Wow, that's amazing. Our first seed starting of the year complete. Oh my gosh, it's so awesome, and I'm loving how easy it was to put those seed packets away, and I don't have a big pile of unfinished business. It's all going to be ready for me the next time I want to use those seeds, which is absolutely amazing. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you were inspired to start some seeds of your own, and I hope that you're not experiencing too much too much stormy weather, because it is that time of year. So if you are, it's a great time to start some seeds. And I hope that you're celebrating your life, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.